I don't know why my phone is tripping. So, okay. So this is all of your settings, right? And we said that we initially put in like some listing details, but I want you all, the main thing that I want you all to see with this is that everything that we just inserted, there were many pieces that we skipped when we were setting this up, or when that Airbnb skipped for you. And if you would have gone all the way through and you did not hit save and exit, it would have published your listing without at all asking you about cancellation policy, because you likely saw they did not ask us about cancellation policy. They did not ask us about, okay, how do guests get around? What's the best way for you to tell them and recommend to them? This is when you dive into here, and why we click save and exit and dive into here, because all they asked about was the listing description, meaning that this piece would have been empty, as well as guest access, other things to know. A lot of this would have been empty, and we would have had a listing already published without a lot of information that's needed in order for us to really succeed. So with your listing description is just a quick high-level overview of the space. That is it, because they give you a limit on the characters. It is just a quick high-level overview to get the attention of your ideal guest. So for many of you, you all know about my Airbnb units, the corporate leasing units that I have within Midtown. So I have them in Midtown, and we target people who are coming into the city and they're wanting to stay in the city, meaning that they are not trying to travel out, do what have you, because one of the important pieces is we don't have parking on site. So an important piece for us is that we need you to be able to walk places, or at least understand and know that we don't offer parking. So number one, where I want to start first and foremost, is that this is why I named the title like I did, because my ideal guest, like the one that is going to work best in my unit, needs to understand that they're going to be walking. So this is why we say, again, just talking about it, that adjective, it's a walkable apartment located in the heart of Midtown, steps to Peachtree. And then this one at the end is just the different units that we have within the building. But this is why we put that, because someone who is looking to be within the city, they're going to see walkable apartment and think, oh, wow, this must be located right in the midst of everything. And that is why we do that. So then it's now reiterated, meaning that understanding the actual, again, just psychology of how you look through listings, you're going to see that cover photo, you're going to see the title, and then you might see just the beginning of that listing description. So we go into the listing description, and now you're able to see that I start to read this, right? So I want you all to understand who my ideal guest is. My ideal guest are young people who are coming into town. They're looking to visit bars, et cetera, et cetera. They're likely going to be walking places, if not Ubering. They do not have any kids with them. And it's likely a group of, I'm going to say, like, adults. It's a group of adults, at least 6 adults. So as I read through my listing description, all of my information, keep this in mind, because this is what's going to help. So what I like to call out, number one, within the listing description, meaning that just high level overview, is where is it located and what are the key features of the home. So located in the heart of the city, again, I'm reiterating the fact that we're right in the city, because that is the reasoning for why we do not have parking. And I want to make that clear to the people reading this. So located in the heart of the city, this newly listed, that is then going to explain to people, calling out that it's newly listed is going to help, because initially when you all list, you are likely going to get people that are messaging you like, hey, you know, I'm interested in booking, but I see that you don't have any reviews. We don't have any reviews because we're a new listing. So that's why we typically put newly listed. We have reviews now, but we still keep it there. This newly listed, recently renovated space provides you with everything you need for a pleasant stay in Midtown Atlanta. Anchored inside of a 1916 historic building. I say this because the building is old as hell, y'all. It's old. But this is how I give them that heads up. You got to ingratiate it a little bit, make it sound good to them, right? Anchored inside of a 1916 historic building, because it is. You'll walk in and notice a number of updated features, because again, it's kind of historic on the outside, but on the interior, we have updated kitchens, all of that. So met with a traditional foundation, meaning that we got the original floor. So if they creak a little bit, you know this is traditional foundation. Venture out and you'll be just steps from Peachtree Street Northwest, Piedmont Park, and Ponce City Market. Again, I am targeting people who are wanting to be right in the city and steps away from these things. So that's why I mentioned it. And then I ended out. This is just the high level intro. Whether you're coming to relax or kick back or enjoy the city nightlife, you've landed the perfect place. That is just the initial description that they see. If they read nothing else, that has now given them at least the imperative information I want them to know. We're right in the heart of the city. You're going to be walking. This is a traditional foundation place. You're close to all of these little things. Now, when I dive into the space, meaning like, okay, what are the rooms like? Like, what else can I expect when I get in here? This is when I then dive into, okay, you should be reading all of this. Every single one of my listings, no matter if it's the apartment, the houses, or what have you, I always have this statement because you think people would do it, but they don't. Please read all listing details prior to booking. Everything. Because there are many people who will say, well, I didn't know that you didn't read all of the listing details. So this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment is perfect for those coming to the city for work and small groups seeking a night out on the town. I've listed immediately who is my ideal guest. If you don't fall within this, you should be like, all right, cool, bye. But some people will keep reading. Boasting a king bed in the master bedroom, a queen bed in the guest room, a full mattress within our sofa bed, and even a crib/playpen, there will be more than enough room for comfort. Our space is equipped with, again, this is me going back to my point within the slides, bullets and kind of dashes, right? To break out these large paragraphs, because we want to make it easy for people to read so they do not miss anything. This is what our space is equipped with. Keyless secured entry using Bluetooth technology, stainless steel, smart TVs, white tiled bathrooms, high-speed internet. That is going to matter for those people coming for work. A relaxing sunroom, washer and dryer for your convenience. For me, because I try to steer clear of younger people booking my spaces, each of my listings also have these kind of parameters within there as well. This listing can only be booked by adults 25 and up. On or prior to booking, this information will be verified. I say this, but there's no way for me to verify this information unless I am actually providing a separate background check. But that is going to deter people who are under 25 because they're like, okay, well, if they're checking, then I don't want to try to get around it. Sleep 6 comfortably. Please accurately record the number of people in your reservation with booking, or you will be at risk of losing your security deposit. That's an important piece. And we do not allow gatherings of more than 8 people for your safety and the safety of our guests within a building. Please don't reach out requesting flexibility on this. You can say that, they still are going to do it. Can I have my baby shower? No, you cannot. No. Guest access, again, and I will tell you that with all of these areas that they have that they are wanting you to insert information, err on the side of inserting some information, because again, the completeness of your listing is going to play into your SEO, meaning how they are showing your listing. So that is why it's better to have information here and just state it than to just leave it blank. So everything, for the most part, I insert information in. Guest access, just letting them know how they can best access the unit. For us, utilizing rideshare services, there's free street parking. Other things to note, you will see that we mentioned parking about 3 or 4 times, just so that they cannot say, well, we didn't know. You knew. We mentioned it in here in the listing, and then even furthermore, right when you book as well. And then just other details to note, this is where you pretty much want to mention just some important information that if it's listed in your house rules or something you really want them to know, this is where you want to put that. For me, we have to also say there's no elevator in the building. Granted, there's only 3 floors, but that's important information for someone to know because that might deter them from booking. So that is everything there. And then it kind of dives into, okay, we have the listing title, we got the listing description, you're going into number of guests, which you all had already chosen. And then you can also create this custom link here. That's a really important piece. I always opt for that too. It's a really quick way for you to just provide your URL when you memorize that to those guests. Now, all of these amenities, again, you all remember that we had saw a number of different amenities when actually choosing or setting up our listing. But you didn't see these. Remember, you didn't see anything related to the bathroom initially from that place. So had we not, again, clicked save and exit and gone into here, we would not have been able to select any of these. So you want to go through and you want to select these and understand that this is why we go into our listing details pretty like every few days, because they're constantly adding new ones. I don't even know what a buy debt is, but I'll look it up and I probably don't have it. But you want to go here and you want to tell people what do you actually have versus what you do not have. And that's everything here. The more amenities, like I said, again, this is a new section. As you guys can see, I have nothing selected but the TV. So they're adding all of these new things all of the time. That's why it's so important to go in here and again, select what you have, select what you don't. But there's tons that you can actually note for your listing. So I'm actually gonna have to go back through here as well. But again, whether it's based on parking, the different services that you have, meaning that they can clean before checkout, you're allowing long-term stays, you're allowing people to drop off their luggage before they're actually checking in. These are things that you want to note within that listing. So that's for amenities. And then of course, property and room type are things that we've already stated. Now, pricing and availability is another one of our high level ones. And I believe I have about 15 minutes. So I think we can get through this in like the next 10, 15 guys. So again, we saw nightly price, but in those initial settings, they never asked us about any discounts. They never asked us about monthly discounts, weekly discounts, what have you. So this is why when you are in these, and even furthermore, when we're thinking about our pricing strategies, we have smart pricing off and we have that base price, of course. But if I'm saying, recall when I said you want to make, if you're opting for longer stays, you'll want to make your nightly price higher than the average. And then you want to offer a discount so that people who are looking for longer stays, your listing is now showing or it looks more attractive to them. So for me, let's say that I had this nightly price at maybe $229. That nightly price is at $229, meaning that somebody's going to pay about $229 plus the cleaning fee, because that does not include the cleaning fee. So that's another important piece for you all to understand as you're setting up your listing. Please don't try to be cheap with your cleaning fee because you're like, ooh, that's a lot of money, I wouldn't pay that. You don't know what other people are willing to pay. And even furthermore, understand that your guest pays the cleaning fee. Your guest pays the cleaning fee. So if you have cleaners and they are charging you $125 for cleaning, make your cleaning fee $125. Do not try to make it less than, and now you're coming out of pocket from your things. Do not do that. I don't necessarily recommend price labs because I typically say that you are the one person, like for instance, what is the other Airbnb like pricing tool as well? But you are the only one that typically knows everything that's going on within your city. So my main tools that I use, number one is the knowledge that I have based on these concerts and events, but number two, actually Airbnb. Because when we go in here and we look at this performance tab, which we will be looking at next week, you're going to see different analytics related to this is the average nightly price within your area for people who have listings just like yours. And that's the important piece that you have to understand. Sometimes we're looking at these different external pricing tools and they're not even accounting for the fact that you're in an apartment, not a house, or you're not even right in the city center. You may be on the outskirts. They don't necessarily know how to account for that. So that's why I typically just use Airbnb in my own knowledge of what's going on. I do my own research on what's going on within the area that I have my units. So yes, so you're able to not only add in weekly and monthly discounts. I have a weekly discount because again, for these units, we like to have the least amount of turnover. So if you can stay for 14 days straight, we absolutely love that. And if you are willing to, we then provide a discount of 10%. Okay. And monthly discount for some of you, you may or may not. You are able to add discounts for different days, meaning that if you're someone who you're like, I want to make sure that I'm getting all of my weekends booked, and you understand that most people are booking that Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and they check out Sunday typically, then you might want to add a 3-night length of stay discount and say, if you're booking for 3 nights, then I might give you a 5% discount because that's going to, again, further incline for you to book for those 3 nights rather than just 1 night. Again, cleaning fee, there are a number of fees you're able to add into here. We implemented a linens fee because I have told you all already that people be stealing, and we have now mentioned that within our listing that we implement a linens fee just so that we can make sure that we have an adequate amount of linens for each of our guests during each of their stays. So that is what we charge per stay, in addition to a management fee, because I do have a property manager who manages those units as well. But these are different fees, again, that you're able to add in. So this is why I say understand that, for instance, let's say you're at an apartment complex that, I don't know, they do not allow you to do a separate service or software for background checks, and they require that per guest, and they require to go through them. You can add that fee into here. Just add it into what the guest has to pay. Add it as an additional expense. And then at that point, it's not coming out of your pocket, it's coming out of their pocket. That is how you're able to do that. And for each of these, you're either able to set a dollar amount or a percentage of the reservation. No, we have not. I have not had people complain about the cleaning or the linen fee. I would say the only time that someone is really going to complain about the cleaning or the linens fee is if they get there and it's not clean and I just paid all this money, or they get there and it's like there's not enough towels and you told me I was going to have enough towels. But we have not had an issue with anyone saying the cleaning fee is too high or anything like that, because once they get in the space as well, and even if you see photos, which I can show you all, you'll see that it's a pretty large space. So the $125 is pretty reasonable. But again, completely up to you all. I just say that cleaning fee, set it to whatever the cleaners are charging you, if not more, meaning that whatever they're charging you, you can give to them, and then you might take $10 to $15 off top. And that may be your extra fee for background checks. You get what I'm saying? So again, just integrating those fees in here, it's pretty seamless to do. This is why I say that, right? Okay, and now cancellation policies. So we have switched over to strict cancellation policies just because we are getting people in, you're canceling. It's blocking the calendar, it's blocking days for other people to book. And then when you eventually do cancel, now because it's last minute, we are not getting that money. So we have switched over to strict. Just again, with the times that we are in, it's up to you. Most hosts go the route of moderate or non-refundable, because Airbnb does have this option of saying, hey, you can go the strict option, or you can go like non-refundable, meaning that they'll offer your guests the option of saying, all right, I want a strict policy and I'm able to cancel later, or I'm just gonna book non-refundable, but I'm gonna get a slight discount because I booked non-refundable and I'm not getting that money back if I do end up canceling. Instant book, of course, we've already talked about that. Check-in and check-outs, we've talked about those. House rules, we've looked at. Additional rules, like I said, is something that you do want to add. This is just a look at some of them that we have. We iterate the fact that under no circumstances can you have a party gathering of individuals other than those who are on your reservation. Smoking is not permitted within the unit, but you can utilize the back balcony area. If it's found that a party is held or smoking has occurred, our team reserves the right to cancel your reservation immediately without refund. Additionally, a smoking fee of $150 is charged to eradicate the smell from the unit. Now, because this is in my listing, I am able to then pursue something. If I go into my unit and I say, hey, there is a smell within the unit, and these guests also left evidence that there was smoking, meaning that there might be cigarette butts, there might be, cigars or what have you within that unit. Now that I have that proof, I can actually get this amount from that guest because I listed it within my rules. And they had to accept those rules in order to book your space. So this is why we say within your house rules, you want to be very clear. And then again, to ensure we are providing guests with all essential items needed for a comfortable stay, we assess a $10 linens fee per reservation that will be included in your total price. This helps to ensure our team always has an adequate amount available for each guest. And again, if you encounter any maintenance issues, please contact us via Airbnb. Someone from our maintenance team will respond on site within 24 to 48 hours, just so that they don't expect it to be immediate. Sometimes folks get within Airbnb units and they expect immediate assistance as if they're at the Marriott, the Hilton, And that's not the case. We just cannot do that. Of course, just guest requirements there. And for the most part, that is really the main information, the main and primary information that you all will need. You do have a guest manual that you can implement. And then of course, just co-hosts. So whether or not you're actually adding someone to help you out with the communication and all of that, completely up to you. Okay, my concern is that someone will need something when I'm at work. So Shanna, what are you thinking that they're gonna need? And then even furthermore, if you're listing it within your unit that we are not available outside of the hours, again, give people the opportunity of whether or not they want to say yes or no, if you understand what I'm saying. Meaning that if in your unit or in your listing details, you state that we are not available between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. for any request, that is something that they have to accept prior to booking your space, and that's something that they then understand.
Okay.
Again, with anything, any parameters that you all have, the best thing to do is to let the guests choose whether or not they want to accept that. Don't just throw it on them, but give them the proper heads up. And at that point, they cannot be upset because you knew about it. Okay, so just to, let's see, pause that. And I just want to, if I can preview my units for you just so that you all can see just once it actually comes together, what some of this looks like. And you already saw Tina. She put her unit, her finished unit within the chat as well. So you can see hers too. But this is the pretty much unit that we have. So this is the unit, the settings that I just went through. These are all of the photos that we have, again, because if we're targeting people who are coming into town for work, you're coming to be right in the city, our first image is of our desk. Hey, welcome, here's a desk that we have for that space. And as you're looking through the images, we're putting pretty much our best spaces and our best images first. The kitchen, it's a chef's kitchen that we have, the living room, etc. And as you're going down, again, the first thing that people are seeing just looking at this, walkable apartment, they're going to see the title. So initially, if I'm interested in booking this space, I'm first going to read the title. All right, walkable apartment, Midtown Atlanta, steps from Peachtree. Okay, that is something that I'm interested in. Then I'm going to go dive into the photos, and I'm probably going to start clicking through to see how the unit looks. And in my mind, I might be wondering, wow, I wonder if they have a pool. Wow, I wonder if they have a coffee machine. And this is why we say taking photos of those amenities helps, because people can answer those questions immediately as they're looking through these photos. At that point, they continue scrolling down, at least with how Airbnb is set up, and they're now starting to see additional details about the home. Please understand that there's a different set of guests who are going to actually get to this point of reading through your listing description. You're going to lose some of them from your listing title. You're going to lose some of them from your cover photos. You might lose some of them when they get to the end of your photos and they're like, wow, I didn't see an air mattress and we need an air mattress, and they don't even get to this. So this is, again, why we are so intentional about what we are placing or what we're naming the listing in the title, and even furthermore, how the photos are being set up. But as you can see, this is just at the end result, how it's going to look. If you're familiar with Airbnb, you already know. They're showing the different types of spaces that you have to sleep, all of the amenities that's offered, the dates that it's available, and then of course, those previous reviews. Okay, so how do you collect the security deposit outside of Airbnb? So upon them actually booking, so number one, you want to make sure that if you are going to request a security deposit outside of Airbnb, please include that information in the other things to note, so that they know that when they book, I'm going to have to pay a security deposit. So then at that point, if they know that and it's in the listing details, upon booking confirmation within your messages, which we're actually going to dive into next week, you can schedule that first message from when they book to say, all right, thanks so much for booking. We were really looking forward to your stay. Prior to you arriving, we do need to go ahead and process a $200 security deposit that is then retrieved via, I don't know, Venmo, Zelle, what have you. In order for you to actually receive and keep your confirmation for your booking, we will need this fee within like the next 24 hours. But that's how you're able to assess that. just again, letting people know what they are about to get themselves into. A piece of that is it's called permission-based selling. It's a sales tactic, but just asking for permission or offering them that opportunity to say yes or no before actually proceeding with that move. So if it's like, I'm going to assess a security deposit, I'm going to give you a heads up. Hey, if you book with us, we're taking a security deposit. And when you actually do it, hey, in order for you to keep your reservation confirmed, we need to have your security deposit prior to this date or within 24 hours of booking the space. Security deposits are common, yes. Number one, again, just understand that you never know who Airbnb is going to take a security deposit from. That is the primary problem with security deposits, but I will say that they are absolutely common. Absolutely common. Some people try to deter from them because they're like, well, what person is going to want to pay that extra money? Somebody who knows that they're not about to damage your space and they're going to get it back. That's who's going to be willing to pay it. And if you're not willing to pay it, then again, what are you up to? So that's always my question. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Where are you at? How are you feeling? Tell me. No. Maybe
I feel like we need to come to Atlanta.
Come to Atlanta. Why you say that?
Because y'all, it's so much. God, there's so much happening in Atlanta, and they have so many freer. I don't know, just the ability to do more in the suburbs, like where I am in Lawrenceville. It's like pulling teeth and trying to get people to understand what I'm doing. So I feel like that's another city I need to consider.
So now I want to ask someone who's on the call and they are actually going for Atlanta. Kiana, are you able to unmute yourself? And just based on the starting that you've done, can you give Brittany a little bit of insight? Because my response to you, Brittany, would be that there's more things to do within the city, but the regulations within Atlanta are so much more heavier because this is where everybody tries to start. So now they're having all of these regulations in terms of caps on the number of corporate leasing apartment. Most people are saying they're just completely not doing Airbnb at all. So I'd be interested to know, just someone who's actually looking to get started in Atlanta, what has that looked like for you, or who considered it?
Can I speak? Okay, hey, this is Tamerna. So for me, for the most part, a lot of places I call, they're either not accepting it, or if I do call and ask for corporate leasing, they go ahead and say, we don't allow Airbnb.
Exactly, immediately.
And then the other part is, yes, there are a couple people that are capped as well. So they take it, but they're like, we're capped at corporate housing, so just give us a call back another time.
Yes, everything that she said. And then the alternative or the opposite is that it's like, even if you try to go under the radar, it's a little bit harder because they're just a lot, I would say, more on top of it and stricter. And then the entry into the bit, like, it's just more difficult in that aspect. So I feel like that's also the opposite, the alternative to just being in the city.
Yeah. And this is why I typically tell people, like, being in the city is good. If you can find that opportunity, if you can find someone who's willing to take a bet on you. But when I tell you, in the last year or two, these folks who are like starting businesses just to start them and come to Airbnb, like, they've burned the bridges at these apartment complexes and within these neighborhoods, to the point that this is why we have so many regulations for, number one, if you're looking to get started with Airbnb with a house in Atlanta, there's regulations in terms of, okay, if you get the police called or anything like that once or twice within a calendar year, they're shutting you down. Or for instance, with apartment complex, again, they're just saying, yeah, we accept corporate leasing, but we're already immediately off bat before you ask, no to Airbnb. So it's a give and a take. It's a give and a take, definitely. But okay. Yep. And I remember Kiana, I remember we were talking about, and I think Smyrna was your second choice for a location, but now it's looking like it's becoming one of your first because of those regulations. Yep. Okay. Anyone else have any feedback, any questions? I will be on here. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing as always. I will go ahead and stay on for a few minutes. If y'all want to chit chat, y'all want to talk, I'm here. So I will stay on. Let me stop the recording.